So now, please welcome the official, non-official, non-sponsor of the Savannah Bananas, but a big fan. Please welcome John Fletcher.
Welcome to 15 on Fridays with Fletch, and you're going to love today's guest, Jason McCann, the CEO of Vari and VariSpace. So, Jason, let's start real quickly. Tell us, you founded VariDesk, now called Vari, while you were the president of Jimmy, the makers of Billy Bass, the fish, and all the holiday lawn inflatables. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you got to that point?
Yeah, it was fun. I grew up in Galveston on the island down there just south of Houston, and my mom was the first entrepreneur I knew, and so I got that entrepreneurial bug watching her, and she eventually said I couldn't work for her anymore in her hair salon. And so I opened up a beach chair and umbrella company and studied entrepreneurship at the University of Houston, got in the nightclub industry many, many years ago down in Houston when the Rockets were in their heyday with Akeem Olajuwon and winning. So that was a lot of fun, but recognized the nightclub industry was not my calling. So transitioned into consumer products and fell in love with the toy industry and happened to cross paths in the late 90s with an amazing gentleman named Dan Flaherty, who had founded a Christmas and Halloween company called Jemmy that nobody's ever heard of, but everybody knows those amazing products. The singing fish, big mouth Billy Bass, and all the inflatables and LED lights you see on the wall. And so I had the opportunity to go bust with him in the dot-com days and then turn around and join him at Jemmy to help Dan build the company of his dreams and build all those amazing holidays and memories for so many people across the globe.
Well, tell us about the aha moment when you came up with the VariDesk.
Yeah, I was actually, sitting in Dan's office. So I was president of his company, CEO and chairman, and we were just down the hall from each other. And I walked into his office one day and he was literally standing at a cardboard box with his laptop on top of it. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, my back hurts." When I talked to my doctor, and she said, "Well, if you feel better standing up, then you should stand up more." So he did. And as we were kind of joking around, and Rosemary was our assistant at the time, and she was serving both of us, she would go online and we would and kind of Google and look for a standing desk for Dan and order these things. And Dan would call me and go, "Oh my God, look at this crazy contraption that showed up." And we couldn't figure out how to attach him to his desk. So he said, "I've got an idea for a product." And as you can tell, Dan's pretty good with products. He said, "What if we created something that just like slid out of a box, went on top of his desk that he loved?" So we grabbed our industrial design and really over a 2 or 3 hour period, just started talking and sketching and designing. And that kicked off the original idea for VariDesk.
When did you first realize this could be not just a big idea, but a massive enterprise?
Well, it was fun. The first person that we showed it to was Pedro Carrera, who had just been promoted to the president of Verizon. He was kind enough to let us walk in. They were like, "Who would like these things?" We had these prototypes and we said, "Well, they've got a lot of people over there at Verizon. Maybe they would like it." We showed it to him. Pedro said, "Well, what is this?" And I said, "If you think about it, this product creates a happier, healthier, more productive workspace." And we showed it to him. He's like, "Oh, it's cool, but I don't know that sitting is the new smoking. This isn't a big thing. But let me get my ergonomist to come in." And when the ergonomist walked in, I had no idea what an ergonomist was. He talked about carpal tunnel syndrome and people need to be active. And the head of people walked in and he said the number one reason people miss work is back pain. And so, we were on to something big. But that's kind of when we started that incubation of the idea. People asked how much it would cost. But the real big aha moment was we were sitting on this tarmac and, at American on American Airlines and during a hailstorm or something here. And we didn't have Wi-Fi. So we were sitting there on the plane back in 2013, flipping through a Sky Mall magazine and said, "Wouldn't it be funny if we did an ad with somebody standing in the picture at a VariDesk?" So we placed an ad in Sky Mall magazine and overnight became the number one selling item in Sky Mall's history. People were literally tearing out the page. Sitting was the new smoking from the Mayo Clinic, and we were off and running.
Wow, that's incredible. And so tell me about, you've got 98% penetration in the Fortune 500. I know your goal is 100%. So tell us how that all happened.
Yeah, we were just very fortunate here to be based here in Texas and to really turn into a global business. So what happened was the Trojan effect. So as soon as a VariDesk got into an office and one person would stand up and start feeling better, was more engaged at work, that ripple effect started to roll throughout organizations. Then 4 or 5 people might order them in the office. The price point at less than $400, people could just use their credit card and we would ship them out. direct to consumers and direct to businesses, people started buying it. This groundswell started happening, and that ripple effect started penetrating all these great organizations. The US government, a lot of the soldiers were coming back from serving overseas and getting, quote, desk jobs, having back pain because they were less active. So they started buying the product. They started shipping it to other deployments that were all over the world. So suddenly our seeds of idea right here from Cabell in the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth was able to ripple and grow all throughout. So that's how we got into all these great organizations. And we joked the last state that bought from us was Rhode Island, which was crazy. But it was great to see, to have all the states and our products today in over 120 countries. And we've got over 4 or 5 million users of our products across the globe.
And it all began from a bunch of boxes with the computer stacked on top of it. That's incredible. So tell us what company models inspired you along the way.
Yeah, if you think about great organizations, what Tony Hsieh built at Zappos, I thought was incredible, the way he focused relentlessly on customer service. So at the time in 2013, we said, if you don't love your desk, we'll take it back. And nobody at the time was taking back office furniture. And so that allowed us to build a relationship with our customer. We also looked at great brands like the way the way Branson built Virgin, the way that great organizations like Love and Southwest Airlines was built, focusing relentlessly on people, the way Starbucks was able to scale globally, the way Sam built Walmart, and really the way Jim Sinegal built Costco with limiting the amount of SKUs. But at the end of the day, it's really focusing on the customer. And by leaning into them and turning them into lifelong fans, what we recognize is we're going on their journey. And if we can help our fans build the companies and cultures of their dreams, to build out their workspaces, to build out their businesses of their dreams, then we're doing our job. And so all these great entrepreneurs were fun ones for us to continue to learn from each and every day.
Well, and I know you and I are both fans of the Savannah Bananas and what Jesse Cole's done. And of course, his focus, his phrase is fans first, which is really very much where you are yourself. So
yeah, I think what he's been able to do and that ripple effect of his fan base, and now to watch him, and now they're playing in these sold out stadiums all over, is absolutely incredible. So you're right. That relentless focus on the fan base is important.
Yeah, we're going down to see him in Houston in September. We're going to watch him play. So we're excited. Tell us about your greatest surprise along the way.
So we think about all these little things. So one, we were able to grow, and we became the fastest growing company here in Dallas, which was a total blessing to find out that we had millions of fans all over the world. But really, it's been about the people that we've been able to serve and these great organizations that we've been able to give back to and serve. So we started, every once in a while, we might get a product that somebody didn't want. It's less than 1% of all the products. But if you sell hundreds of thousands of units, we might have hundreds of units to do something with. So we've been able to give this product away and help and donate over $8 million worth of product to nonprofit organizations. And I didn't realize the blessings that that would give to us on a personal level. So our team members are able to reach out to service organizations that they volunteer at, that they serve, whether it's MetroCrest or Minnie's Food Pantry or American Heart Association or American Cancer Society, and give back and serve these great organizations by helping take some of our products and complement the processes and spaces that they're building, and we are able to take some of the cost pressure off them. And that ripple effect from a giving standpoint has been incredible.
Well, and at the start of 2020, you were prepared to expand and open multiple showrooms across the nation. What was that like, and how did you pivot?
Yeah, we looked at this moment. I said, if we could build a brand that could live beyond my lifetime, that would be an absolute blessing. And looking at all those great organizations, the way that Sam built Walmart and Starbucks, like, what could we do? So we worked with the same company that helped take Federal Express to FedEx. And we said, wow, could VariDesk become Vari? Because we're so much more than a desk at this point. Got over 300 products. We said we could literally disrupt the way office furniture is sold, procured, workspaces are designed, because we're now monetizing the transformation of workspace design and culture in all the products and services that we offer. So we wanted to lean into that. So 2018, 2019, we started this 18-month, multi-million-dollar planning process, dropped desks from our name, redid our website, did all this, opened up some buildings, and we opened up showrooms all across the country and hired a whole lot of people. Well, disruption, sometimes you're building a disruptive business and sometimes disruptions happen to you. And unfortunately, God had another plan for us and challenged us, and our business model got totally decimated and disrupted. And so from then, we've had to really rethink and retrench our business and now lean back into the things that we're very good at, but also leverage the latest in technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, robotics in our security systems outside, in the buildings that we own, or just in the way we handle virtual tours. So while we've been tested and challenged, the brand has emerged stronger and the business continues to do very well.
Well, and if you think about it, you at that time, you were going into offices, and then suddenly as people started working from home, you had a whole new business category. So what else did that pivot teach you?
So what I recognize is that 2 a.m. I was up every night, just sort of stressed out, couldn't sleep. The world was, was it coming to an end? We were all working remote. And after night of not being able to sleep, my wife leaned over and said, well, if you can't sleep, I can only imagine how your people feel. At that moment, as an introvert, I had to recognize that that crisis creates clarity moment. And I had to lean in to my introverted nature and start over communicating clarity of where we needed to go and how we were going to navigate through this storm. And we did. And so I shared a story one time. I said, if you think about it, when I was trying to learn how to snowboard, I hired this young snowboarder, and this guy's like, dude, I'm going to teach you how to snowboard through the trees. And I kept crashing into the trees. And he goes, you can't stare at the trees when you're going down the mountain. You got to look for the snow lanes and carve your lane when you're going out there. And what I recognize in business, you can stare at all the problems that are out there, but really what you're looking for is the snow lanes, the windows of opportunities. And when I shared those stories with my team members, we started to recognize we're going to get through this. We started to lean on our teams in Asia, who are about 10 to 12 weeks ahead of us on the COVID curve, talked about distance-based design. Suddenly, all of our products were designed to move. Our walls move, our power drops from the ceiling. We transformed our space. And then we shared those stories on LinkedIn and in social media, and other organizations were able to leverage what we were learning about distance-based design. And that transformed and elevated our business to allow us to navigate the storm.
What would you like to share with a potential entrepreneur about what to see and how to recognize opportunity? A lot of people see something, they go, that's not me. How would you like to inspire them?
Yeah, you think about it is ultimately you can take these moments to monetize pain. So as an entrepreneur, you see pain points, friction points, things that aren't working out there. If that's a problem that you are passionate about solving right there at that collision point, if you wake up every night excited about potentially solving that challenge, that's a great opportunity to build something very, very disruptive, a great business, because ultimately what we're doing in servant leadership and serving others is solving challenges and helping people live to their full potential. So as an entrepreneur, if you can focus on that, it's very easy today to build these dopamine hit companies out there. But if you ultimately focus on those friction points that you're passionate about solving, those are great opportunities to build the company of your dreams.
We've got about 30 more seconds. Tell us about your artwork and how you've used that to benefit organizations.
Yeah, it's been fun to get back out there in my sort of Jackson Pollock style. My kids call it splatter paint, and throw some paint on a canvas. And our buildings, we had a bunch of empty walls. And I said, I know a really cheap artist. So I put together some wonderful pieces. And somebody said, I want to buy one. And I said, rather than give me the money, donate it to Metro Crest, donate it to Make-A-Wish. And I've been able to raise about $150,000 here in the last few years, just selling paintings, giving back to the community. It feels amazing. So, and my wife loves it too, because it gets them out of the house.
Well, what you've done is you've given yourself a whole new outlook and a new outreach for serving others. So, Jason, thank you so much. Thank you, Jason McCann. You've been watching us on 15 on Fridays with Fletch, with Jason McCann's inspiring story from Vari and VariSpace. We'll look forward to seeing you next Friday for 15 on Fridays with Fletch. Jason, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Fletch. My pleasure.